Hello and welcome to another Games We Play beta spotlight, this time on an upcoming free-to-play game, Dirty Bomb, which will be coming out soon by the developers Splash Damage, who you may know from a few other titles such as Brink, unfortunately, Quake Wars Enemy Territory, and the very popular Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. We have today Noden taking a look at my
Hi.
footage, being Pat Rock, of course. And we have a few matches that we're going to take a look at and see our impressions of that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, well, let me know if you have any questions as we go through it, because there's a few interesting things in this game. It's pretty cool in some ways. Some other ways, I'm not too certain how it'll end up being once it's fully released. But I did have fun when I did play it in these few matches. They had a weekend sort of beta event. I am in the closed beta, but they only have the servers open for a few days every now and then. This weekend event being one of those times. They're soon going to be opening it up.
First time playing since early on.
Yeah, yeah. I actually hadn't played this in a while, and I've been part of the beta for a long time.
Oh yeah.
But I just didn't give it the time of day. I kind of regret that. A lot of it was just like the time I had or didn't have to dedicate to this game. So I really only played, I don't know, 2-3 matches prior to this many months ago.
Oh,
It was fun when I first played it, and performs well enough. It's I think this is ID Tech id Tech 4. So I think it's the same engine that does like Quake 4 and Doom 3.
Also, it's like the Quake 4 engine.
Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty old. But they did a lot with the art style. You mentioned
I
actually.
gotta say the art style does look,
Mhm.
yeah, it does look a lot like
Yeah,
Brink.
and it does. It's not like a realistic sort of thing. It's I don't want to say
And it's got
cartoony,
like
but
that sort of that,
stylized.
like that, yeah, and it's got that like above and beyond like yellow. I think it's the yellow that really draws me, that makes me think of
Yeah,
Brink.
it's
'Cause there was a lot of yellow in
it's
Brink.
pretty colorful. It's not quite as out there as Brink. It's more like gritty urban environments. It's luckily does not have a lot of the faults that I think Brink had. But
Does it have the pseudo like free running that Brink had?
that was one thing I was going to get into in a moment. Short answer is mostly no. But I'll get into
Mostly
that.
no. Right.
I'll get into that in a bit more detail later on. So just the basics of the game, just like all those other games I mentioned from the developer Splash Damage. It's like a lot like Brink, Enemy Territory, Quake Wars, and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, where it's team-based and you have objectives to complete throughout the map. So it's not just like team deathmatch or capture the flag. It's each map has its own sort of progression to it. So in this map here, our first
Okay.
objective was to blow up some barrier to be able to proceed to the next sort of area in the map. Um,
Well, again, that sort of was sort of like Brink as well, right?
yep,
That you were
yep,
saying, where they had the mid objectives on the way.
yeah, and it'll also, I think, reward you for providing ammo, health packs, and stuff like that, just like in Brink. It doesn't seem to quite nag you about doing those smaller sort of team-based uh, helpy objectives as much as in Brink. But it's still good that it does reward you for working as a team. And I noticed later on it has a few other like XP bonuses you can get for like playing as such and such mercenaries however many times. Uh, like I don't know, 4 times to get some sort of boost. Um,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah,
Jesus.
and we just
Did
we
you
just
just do
completed
there?
that objective there. Oh, and yeah, that
Oh,
was
okay.
my class that I chose here. He's got airstrike ability, so you can
Okay, so then.
yeah, you could see the 3 classes at the bottom there, actually, right now. You could kind
Oh,
of
okay.
switch before the match starts which characters you want to fill in your
Oh,
three
okay.
like class slots. And I think you could customize the weapons of each a little bit beyond that. I'm really not that certain because this is still pretty early version, so it
And so it's got like a bit of like a TF2 kind of like spawn like choose a thing and then run in and help out with the battle kind of a thing from with that new role, right?
Yeah, a little bit. TF2 may not be the most accurate comparison, but yeah, you choose one of the three that you chose before the match. So again, you choose three characters that you'll be able to choose from during the course of the
Hmm.
match, and once you spawn as them, you're playing as that until you die. And
Hmm.
when you die, you'll see this a lot actually in this area because I get killed a lot. You're kind of in a down state, and a medic can res you.
Yep. I saw it, and I saw that when you came up this escalator here, actually, that the sniper guy had shot the guy, and then you actually finished him off, and you shot that guy in the
Yep,
butt
yeah,
a
and you can
lot.
finish them off too, which is a really good idea. You can knife them too, but it can take a few shots to actually finish them off.
I don't get knife thing that takes like multiple shots.
Yeah.
What game were we playing recently where I'm like, why do I have to knife twice? It was driving me nuts.
I don't remember. But I was saying actually, you can instantly finish off with the knife, but if you're shooting them, it takes a few bullets to finish them off when they're down. So
Oh,
it is
okay.
better to knife, but then you have to get out there in the open to do it. So
I see. We are still in the near future, though.
it's not a realistic game. They're not really going for a realism angle.
Actually,
So
I
it's
should say that because I remember reading in the description of this that this was like a post-apocalyptic London. Was there anything that made this like seem like it was actually London? I suppose this actually is the train station. Well, one of them. Um, but I mean, even then, it looks a little small
I
to
haven't
me.
played any like maps with any sort of landmarks. I think
No.
the setup for this game is that it's some sort of a dirty bomb, I guess, as its namesake might
Like,
suggest, went off in
mm,
or around London, and it's irradiated in some parts, and for some reason there are mercs fighting in the evacuated uh, city. I'm not quite sure
oh,
why
right.
or what they're fighting over, but here we are.
So,
Um, like you said, it does look a lot like Brink. Not as out there as Brink, and it feels a bit like Brink if anyone has played that. The shooting does feel a bit better, a bit more responsive. I thought
I would say
Brink,
a lot of this feels a lot like Brink.
yeah,
Like it really feels like okay, well, Brink really didn't do so well. Like we got bad PR, so let's just remake it, and like that's what it kind of feels like. I mean, you got the down mechanics, which are also were in Brink.
yeah, they were in like all those games, other games I mentioned though.
Yeah, I suppose they are.
And I think I really love those games. I love Wolfenstein Animated Territory. I loved Quake Wars. So I'm all for seeing them take another crack at this sort of game.
Hmm.
Because the Brink I didn't really like, and I one of the things I really didn't like about Brink was the weapon handling. It just seemed so arcadey, I guess. Like I'm fine with
Yeah, it was pretty
arcadey shooters, but it just seemed like the
like an
bullet spread.
afterthought.
Yeah, the bullet spread just went crazy way too early. It felt like you didn't really feel.
I think remember hit detection being a
Yeah,
real
it didn't feel very
issue, and
responsive at all. This feels slightly like that, but certainly better. A lot
hmm
better. Not like perfect sort of gunplay. It doesn't really feel that tight or responsive, or it doesn't feel bad, but it certainly could improve. Um, and the other thing we were talking about earlier was the free running parkour or whatever from
hmm
Brink. All that I saw here, and I think that the only semblance of free running they do have in the game right now is you can wall jump, which is actually pretty cool. So you can jump
okay,
against a
so that's not
wall, then leap right off of it. And I think there's probably some parts in some levels where that comes in really handy, and you can, I think, chain them together to navigate around really quickly. It, of course, makes you really hard to hit, but it makes it really
hmm
hard to aim at things too while you're doing it. So I think
yeah.
that's something that a lot of players, once they get really good at it, are going to be able to utilize that.
But it'll become a skill based thing
Yeah,
more than
exactly.
a like wall jump to win kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I played maybe 3, maybe 4 maps in the game too. They seem pretty good. They seem a bit smaller than what I've seen in the past games, even Brink included. But another thing I really didn't like about Brink was the the maps devolved just really quickly and really easily into just grinds at certain choke points, and it just
Yeah.
eventually just
You're
wasn't
just
fun.
throwing yourself against a wall of people for.
Yeah, and I'm not really seeing that happen too much here. It seems like it's a bit more open with a few more paths to objectives, so
Mhm.
it definitely seems a lot better in this game than in that.
And they may be able to focus a little bit better on balance as well, having fewer classes. Because it didn't Brink have like 6 or 7 classes or
Well,
something?
there are actually there's there's basically I think 3 types of soldier. Maybe 4. There's a support, a medic, and I'm looking through them right now, and like a soldiery type. But then
Hmm.
there's a few characters within those 3 classes that can have pretty
That modify it, though.
yeah they can be pretty vastly different though. I didn't get a
Okay.
chance to look at too many of them because you have to unlock them in the beta as well.
Right.
But they might differ quite a bit, so it could end up having quite a bit of variety there. And I imagine because it's going to be free to play, they're going to want to keep adding more and more sort of characters,
Hmm.
mercs, I guess they call them here, to be able to unlock and sell. And
Right.
that's
And then, yeah.
one of the things I guess I really can't speak to right now because this is just an early beta.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned at the beginning of this video. This is all subject to change because it's still a beta. Um,
Subject to change, not like what it said on the screen, where it said on the screen, not representative of the final game. No. If you're showing me anything, it's representative of the final game. It may not be what I see in the final game, but it is representative of it.
yeah, I guess you could say that, but
It's like, I'm just critiquing.
well, it's a beta. It's a beta. So
It's a beta.
take
We all know what that means now.
yes. So take
I
that
think we've lived with them long
take
enough.
that for whatever you think it is, but here it is. And like I was about to say, once it's out, I really don't know what their monetization plans are. And I
Hmm.
guess, as with most free-to-play games, that would be one thing I would be concerned about, because
In fact, I free to play. I'm worried about with most games anymore.
yeah, I mean, it'll really come down to the balance for this game because it's such a team-based game.
Yeah.
So they could make it or break it with how they try to monetize it. They could really have it be pay to win, um, have really OP weapons or abilities or characters. So it's hard to say what it'll end up being once it's actually out. For what it's worth, right now, I think it's pretty solid. It's the sort of game it is now. It's kind of been done a few times in other free to play games. Like I played a few that I don't remember the name of because they kind of all blend together. But with the
Hmm.
sort of like objective based game types where you escort a tank or have to do certain
Yeah.
things, blow up certain things in order or whatever, and they all kind of blend together. So you have to wonder what this is going to really do to differentiate itself aside from what's a pretty cool art style. Uh, but I'm just not sure if what it has will be enough once it's out. Because you
Once
also
it's
want a
out, yeah.
stable player base. A lot of people playing the game.
And that's one of the big issues, and I know that that's one of the things I think that most of these games have to be really worried about is trying to like get hold of and holding on to a player base. And I don't know how they can justify so many of these like free to play or like microtransaction games when you can't like even guarantee that you're going to be able to keep a player base for long enough to like make back your investment. I don't know. It just seems like a really risky proposition to me for a lot of games, and
Hmm.
especially in sort of this instance, where this is a game that could really easily just fly under the radar.
Yep, yep. I mean, I hope it doesn't. Like as I said, as it stands right now, I thought it was fun. I probably should have dedicated a bit more time to it just to get a better sense of it. But from what I did play, it was pretty solid. It really could get worse though, really easily, with the balance and their payment model.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
No, that's all I got. You got anything else for me?
I think that's about it for this game. I probably would have had more if I spent some more time with it, but overall, it's good. It's fun. Give it a try if you have a chance.
Looks pretty good.
But just be wary of when it does come out, as I think anybody should be with free to play or
Yeah.
sort of early beta versions of the games. Uh, it definitely has potential. Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you for listening to my ramblings and watching my ass get shot many, many times. And hopefully I can play this again soon. Like I said, they're going to be opening up again soon. They're probably going to be sending out more keys around that time. That's just a guess, but I imagine that's what they'll do.
Oh, and when does it come out?
You got me, man. I think it's still up in the air.
June.
June?
June is when
Oh,
it said on Steam.
Well then. I should probably keep a better eye on that. But yeah, they're opening up the beta soon, I think, so keep an eye out for that. And thanks for watching.
Ciao.
Take care.